Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a really good day. Today's story that I'm going to tell you comes from a very localized area. This is a story that I personally had not even heard of, wasn't familiar with till a couple years ago. Now, those people who are from that area, the people who are growed up there, that are locals, they know the story. If you mention the names that are of the persons who are involved, they'll instantly recall it. But outside of that area, outside the locale, it's not as well known, not really. So that's another reason why I think these videos are important. I think it's important to cover these stories and to tell them again, because the history is getting forgotten. People aren't passing things on as they were, and these things should be remembered. Even tragedies or anything like that, they need to be told, and people need to know that they happen. So, getting on with it. This story happened in a very small fishing community called Varnamtown, and it is located in Brunswick County. And it's a very small town. I think it's total now it might be like 600 and some residents. This incident occurred on May 13th, 1940. So I'm not really sure how many people lived there during that time. But still always been a very small town, small community. So what happened was, it's tragedy on both ends. A man named Archie Galloway killed a young man named Alton Varnum. And I'm going to tell you the story of what happened.
Indeed, by helping those who are in need, my life on earth is but a span.
Mr. Archie, please don't do that. Those were the last words reportedly spoken by Alton Varnum, 22 years of age, right before Mr. Archie Galloway lifted his gun, took aim, and shot the younger man. It all happened in the small fishing community of Varnamtown on Monday evening, May 13th, 1940. Now, Varnamtown is located on the Lockwood Folly River, and many of those who live in the area, they work on the river. They're shrimpers and they're fishermen, and this is how they make their livelihood, and it's what they've known their whole life. And the same was true for Alton. Alton was born about 1919, per the 1940 census records, and at the time that this all happened, he was living with his parents, Willard and Rosa Varnum. Now, his father, Willard, he had a job working with the WPA road construction, and this helped support him, his wife, Rosa, Alton, and the 7 other children that were of the same household. Now, Alton's occupation listed was fisherman, as many others in Varnamtown were. Now, Mr. Archie Galloway, he was 45 years old in 1940, and he was married to a lady named Lovey. They had 3 children, and they were all boys listed: Tilton, Carlton, and Walter. What I found surprising, however, which I understood that being such a close-knit community that it was a given that Archie and Alton would know each other. But now what was surprising was that they lived beside each other. And this would have been determined by the numerical census numbers for the houses. This is the way that the census taker went house to house. And Alton's house would have been first, him and his parents, and then the very next house that the census taker went to was Archie Galloway's, which meant they were neighbors. So now the 2 neighbors don't get along. And what was the dispute that started all of this? As the story goes, Archie Galloway, the older man, had approached Alton Varnum earlier in the day, and had said that he owed him $3, or it was over a gill net. Different stories, different ways. Perhaps the gill net was worth $3. I'm not sure. But regardless, he said that he owed him money, and Varnum supposedly told Galloway, if you don't get out of here, I'm going to stomp you. And Galloway's response was, I'll see you later. And he left, and as the story went, he went to a store, and he tried to buy some buckshot. They didn't have it. He ended up getting number 4 shot, and he returned back with a single barrel shotgun. And when he approached Alton, who was dragging his boat onto the landing, it was heard that Alton said, Mr. Archie, please don't do that. Now, pause for a minute. I spoke to someone of a very reliable source and of a considerable age who was living down in Varnumtown when this incident occurred. And I repeated the stories that I had heard and the details and asked them if they could verify if this is what they knew. Is this sound accurate to what you have learned through your life and what you remember? And they said yes. They added a personal detail that you couldn't find in the papers. They said that they had understood it, that before Alton came up on the landing, he was coming up the river with his boat. He was in his boat, and he was singing. And the song he was singing was A Beautiful Life. And it's the song that I played a little snippet of before, and I will play some more at the end. But that's chilling to know that. So that's something that happened prior to the shooting. I just thought I would let y'all know that. But anyhow, so Alton is there, and he's asking Mr. Archie to not shoot him. And it happened very fast. Archie fired the gun. It struck Alton in the right side. He keeled over onto the landing, bleeding out. It was a chaotic scene. It happened all really fast. Everyone ran down there. Archie's nephew wrestled him for the gun because he was getting ready to reload it again. And they said Archie took what money he had in his pockets, emptied it out, and handed it to his son and said, it's all off now. And then he went down the riverbank and he jumped into a small skiff, into a small boat, and he paddled away. Now this is in the evening, and it's after 7 o'clock now. It's getting dark. It's harder to see. And everything's happening really fast. It's chaos. I mean, there's been a shooting, and no one knew exactly where Archie went. They thought one of the men that was there was Mr. Raleigh Dixon, and he heard a splash, but he wasn't even sure what all had happened. So they're tending to Alton, which he passed. He was killed. He died. And then they didn't know where Archie went. They didn't know if he had ran into the marsh, if he'd run into the woods and fled. So they searched for him. You know, they were trying to bring him to justice, to be held accountable for what he had just done. Alas, it was the next day, the next morning, that at about 300 yards from the bank and from where he had shot Alton Varnum, that they used grappling hooks and they put them into the water, and it was discovered that Archie Galloway had tied a boat anchor that had been used as a boat anchor. It was cinder blocks around his waist and had jumped in and drowned. So that was the end of both men. Both men's funerals occurred in the same day. They were both preached by the same preacher, Reverend C.N. Phillips from Southport. And they both had services at Dixon Chapel. They were buried in 2 different cemeteries. The quote from Reverend Phillips as to what he felt like was the cause of this tragedy was liquor. He says, and I quote from the paper, "This is just another tragedy with liquor at the bottom of it. And I told them so. I told them that this was not the first time I preached a funeral that grew out of conditions like these, and it wouldn't be the last, and some changes are made." Now, if you go to Varnumtown, at the end of the dock, there's a place with a buoy sticking up. And that marks the spot where Archie dived in. And the locals refer to that place as Archie's whole.
Is but a span, and so I'll do the best I can. Life's evening sun, is sinking low, a few more days, and I must go, to meet the deeds that I have done, where there will be no setting sun, while going down life's weary road. I'll try to lift some traveler's load. I'll try to turn the night to day, make flowers bloom along the way. Life's evening sun, is sinking low,